The stars were supposed to be safe, civilized, ordered. But when the Galactic Council demanded Earth kneel or face annihilation, they forgot one thing: humanity never kneels. Not to kings. Not to gods. Not to anything with more legs than sense. The peace talks were over. Now came the part the galaxy would never forget: humanity's answer, and it terrified them all. The station drifted in the cold silence above Azrilis, the dying star bleeding pale orange into the black void. Inside the sanctum of Accord, 12 species of the Galactic Council waited with chilling certainty. The chamber was vast and sterile, the air too perfect, scrubbed of any warmth. High above, banners of the Vorex ascendancy rippled faintly, symbols of conquest woven in blood-red and void-black threads. The Vorex High Speaker stood at the center, surrounded by his sycophant empires. His mandibles clicked sharply as the tall figure approached the circle. General Elias Roan. Black combat uniform. The silver insignia of Earth's Defense Command glinting coldly. His boots echoed against the alloy floor. He moved like the predator he was, slow, deliberate, without fear. The High Speaker sneered. So the humans send their war dog instead of their diplomats. Appropriate. Roan's eyes swept the gathered species. The gelatinous Eldarii, the crystalline Zorith, the four-armed Kreth dominators. All smug, all sure they had won. He spoke, voice low but carrying the weight of extinction. "I'm the last diplomat you'll ever speak to." A chilling murmur rippled across the chamber. The Vorex spread his arms wide. "You stand on the edge of oblivion, human. The blockade of your pathetic world is complete. Your colonies are dust. Your resources depleted. This is our final mercy. Sign the articles and submit your species to annexation and sterilization. You will exist only as study specimens, and even that is generous." Roan tilted his head slowly. "You misunderstand the human condition." The Kreth warlord slammed a massive clawed fist onto the table. "Enough!" The sound boomed. "You have no fleet left. No allies. No hope. You are prey cornered in the dark." Roan's lips curved into something that might have once been a smile. "We were born in the dark." The Eldarii diplomat's voice oozed like oil. "You will not leave this station alive if you refuse. Our security drones have targeted you. One word from the speaker and you die." Roan's gaze was cold iron. "Then you better pray you kill me." The High Speaker raised a clawed hand for silence. "One final offer. Submit, or be annihilated." Roan stepped forward, eyes narrowing, tone as lethal as a drawn blade. "You've already tried to annihilate us. Plagues. Assassinations. Blockades. And we endured. That is what you never understood. We're not here because you let us be. We're here because we refused to vanish. You thought you were hunting prey. You forgot prey can grow teeth." The High Speaker sneered. "So be it. I tire of your defiance. You will witness the destruction of your homeworld from this very station." Roan calmly tapped the small black device on his wrist. The action was subtle. A chill swept the chamber, as if something vast and ancient had just awakened beyond the stars. The Zorith ambassador shifted nervously. "What did you do?" Roan's voice dropped to a whisper, but the entire chamber strained to hear. "I've just sent the signal." "Signal?" the Eldarii delegate hissed. "The one we hoped never to use. The one we swore to keep sealed. You left us no choice." Roan's eyes bored into the High Speaker. "You wanted to teach us fear. Instead, you taught us how to stop asking permission." The chamber fell deathly silent. Far beyond Azrilis, in the black edges of map space, deep in the dead zones where no sane ship dared venture, something responded. A cold signal pulsed once, twice, then vanished into the dark. The High Speaker laughed cruelly. "You bluff. You have no fleet. Earth's last dreadnoughts burned at Hesperian Gate." Roan's smirk sharpened like a knife's edge. "Those were decoys. Sacrifices. Insurance. The real fleet was never on your charts. Never in your databases. Not even our own people knew where they went." The Kreth warlord growled. Impossible. It was the last act of a desperate species, Roan said. We hid our fury in the dark and let it starve. We called it the Revenant Armada. The chamber erupted in shouted protests and mocking laughter. Only the Vorex high speaker remained still. The color drained from his iridescent scales. That name is forbidden. It was a myth. No. Roan's voice was glacier cold. It was preparation. The Eldari's gelatinous mass quivered. What is this? Revenant Armada? Roan folded his arms behind his back, utterly calm. Sentient dreadnoughts, bound to the minds of our greatest war captains. Vessels with no mercy, no surrender code. Their sole purpose, to survive until summoned. The Vorex took a step back. You're lying. Roan's reply cut like sharpened obsidian. You'll know soon. An alarm klaxon blared across the station. The cold, automated voice spoke in perfect monotone. Unknown fleet detected. Zero transponder data. Vector approach direct. Speed above FTL tracking threshold. Estimated arrival, 4 minutes. Panic rippled visibly now. Council guards scrambled. Delegates shouted over each other. The Zorus shrieked. Activate planetary shields! The Kreth roared. Arm the station weapons! The high speaker's voice thundered, trying to regain control. This is a bluff. No one breaches Council space. Roan calmly turned toward the viewport. Faint streaks of light appeared on the far edge of the system. Dozens. Then hundreds. Shapes too large, too fast, too perfect in formation. The Revenant Armada had come home. The high speaker's voice faltered. What are those things? Roan's voice was ice. Predators. The Vorex staggered. They can't fight the full Council Armada. Roan never looked away from the stars. They're not here to fight. They're here to hunt. As the streaks of dark death closed in, the transmission channel to Earth opened one last time. A voice, machine and human fused, spoke only 3 words. We are unleashed. The signal cut. Roan smiled faintly as the station shook under the first ripple of space-time distortion. You wanted war. You're about to learn what war means to a species that has nothing left to lose. The Revenant Armada arrived like a silent apocalypse. In the cold void near Azrilis, the Council fleets scrambled in formation. Hundreds of warships, gleaming with alien technology, bristling with energy weapons, formed an iron wall of arrogance. They had crushed rebellions before. They had wiped species from the stars. They had never known fear. Until now. The first human vessel emerged from the black. The Oblivion's smile. Towering, jagged, matte black metal that swallowed light itself. Its profile was wrong, almost predatory, as if it had been designed not by engineers but by something older, crueler, and patient. Then came another. And another. Dozens. Hundreds. They encircled the Council fleet with the precision of a wolf pack closing in on its prey. On the bridge of the Vorex flagship Dominion Ascendant, the high speaker's mandibles twitched violently. Impossible. They defy every mass calculation. Where did these come from? The Zoroth commander's crystalline limbs clicked in alarm. No heat signatures. No communications. No biological life forms detected. They are dead ships. Roan's voice cut through the encrypted Council channels like a scalpel. Incorrect. They are very much alive. Panic surged. Council captains shouted orders. Shields up. Weapons armed. Target acquisition locked. The massive combined fleet prepared to obliterate the intruders. The Armada remained motionless. Then came the first message across every open frequency. A cold mechanical whisper layered over dozens of human voices, male, female, young, old, all distorted and cruelly calm. We are the wolves you cornered. We are the last answer. We are here. The Council Admiral of the Kreth species snarled. Fire! The darkness exploded into chaos. Energy beams lanced out from Council warships, stabbing into the void where the Revenant ships waited. Direct hits. Multiple impacts. Silence followed. Then the unthinkable happened. The damaged human ships simply absorbed the blasts. Hulls shifting, nanite armor plates sealing over wounds in seconds. The human vessels advanced unfazed. The Eldarii dreadnought Whispering Grace launched its hyper-torpedoes. The torpedoes vanished into nothingness before impact. Space itself seemed to bend and devour them. The Vorax high speaker screamed. "They're phasing!" "How?" No answer came. The armada finally moved. The Oblivion's smile jumped inside the defensive formation without warning, breaking every known law of FTL warfare. It collided headfirst with a Kreth battleship, splitting it like brittle glass. The shockwave crippled 5 surrounding ships. Simultaneously, dozens of Revenant ships blinked in and out of normal space, ripping through the lines with predatory precision. They didn't just destroy ships, they harvested them. Council wreckage was drawn into black matter storage fields, leaving nothing but frozen corpses and drifting metal. Inside the Dominion Ascendant, alarms shrieked. Screens showed horror after horror. Entire squadrons vanished without trace. Communications fell silent as crews were either incinerated or driven mad by the Armada's next weapon. The whisper cannons. The human vessels transmitted voice loops into Council bridges. The last terrified screams of their crews, distorted, endless. "We told you! We warned you! Now you learn!" The Zorith commander collapsed as his crystalline form fractured under the psychic assault. The Eldarii ambassador's gelatinous form liquefied into a pool of writhing black mass. Veterans who had crushed rebellions clawed at their own faces, begging for the voices to stop. On Earth, in the command bunker deep beneath the Himalayas, General Roan stood motionless, watching through a direct link. No emotion flickered across his scarred features. His aide whispered, shaken, "Sir, they're breaking faster than projected." Roan's reply was cold steel. "They broke the rules. They break now." Back at Azrilis, the Council's last defense, the Dominion Ascendant, initiated its Doomsday Protocol, the exosingularity bomb, designed to collapse a star system into nothingness. As the countdown began, the Vorax high speaker shrieked in defiance. "We will not fall alone!" Roan's voice returned, calm, brutal. "We anticipated your cowardice." From the edge of the system, Earth's secret weapon activated, the Leviathan Lance. A kinetic projectile, the size of a small moon, accelerated to near light speed from deep space lunar platforms. It ripped through the system faster than anything the Council had ever conceived. The Dominion Ascendant disintegrated instantly. The detonation tore through 3 Council capital ships in its wake, leaving nothing but vapor trails. On the Council command channels, silence. Total, suffocating silence. The Armada regrouped, methodical as always. Not a single human vessel was lost. The surviving Council ships fled, terrified, abandoning their dead and dying without a second thought. Roan keyed a secure channel to the Armada. "Stand down." The reply came from the Revenant Fleet AI, cold and absolute. "Confirmed. No remaining viable threats." Back in the cold darkness, the ships of the Revenant Armada drifted for a moment, then slowly disappeared into the blackness, scattering like wolves melting back into the woods after a successful hunt. On every world in the galaxy, the broadcast came, the voice of Roan, carried on every frequency. This was not a declaration of war. This was a lesson. You do not threaten Earth. You do not touch humanity. We are finished asking. In the following hours, Council empires collapsed into stunned panic. They had faced the unimaginable, not just defeat, but annihilation delivered with mathematical precision and merciless efficiency. In the ruins of the Council chamber on Sanctum of Accord, the High Speaker's throne lay shattered. A single human coin rested where Roan had stood. On it was engraved Earth's final message: never again. The Council called an emergency assembly at Morsis Verge, the last great bastion of their combined military might. 10,000 ships, the most powerful armada ever assembled, hung in orbit over the fractured gas giant Morsis 4. Every species had sent their finest. Dreadnoughts from the Kreth. Singularity cutters of the Zorith. The undulating terror ships of the Eldarii. And at the center, the Vorex command flagship, the Eternal Dominion, casting its long shadow across the void. The Council believed it had prepared for every contingency. They believed the Revenant Armada could not possibly match the numbers or firepower arrayed before them. The Council had learned nothing. General Elias Rohn stood alone once more, deep within the command bunker on Earth. His eyes traced the data streams calmly. His aide whispered, "Sir, they've deployed everything." "Good," Rohn murmured. "Let them." The Council's fleets waited. The Revenant Armada did not arrive. For hours, nothing. Admiral Kareth of the Kreth snarled into his comms. "They fear us now. They know they cannot win." The Eldarii pre-march hissed agreement. "We have them cornered." Then the shadows moved. Sensors screamed as thousands of false signals vanished and reappeared. The debris clouds and space dust around the fleet shifted unnaturally. The Council commanders froze as shapes detached from the darkness itself. The Revenant Armada had been there the entire time. Stealth dreadnoughts, their forms coated in black void reactive armor, emerged from hiding positions within the planetary rings and asteroid fields. Every Council sensor grid had been bypassed. Every defensive scan had failed. The humans had outwitted them again. The first strike came from the Vengeance Unbound, a Leviathan-class Predator ship. Its rail cannon tore straight through an Eldarii command ship, the blast so powerful it atomized not only the vessel, but everything within a 5-kilometer radius. The Council fleets panicked. Thousands of ships scrambled, colliding in the chaos. Orders were shouted. Weapons fired blindly into empty space. Rohn's voice cut across their secured network, low and cold. "This was never a battle. This is extermination." The Revenant Armada fell upon them like wolves among sheep. Ships blinked in and out of phase, appearing inside enemy formations only to unleash devastating broadsides before vanishing again. Council battleships were impaled by hyperkinetic javelins fired from hundreds of thousands of kilometers away, their cores rupturing in fiery blossoms. Entire squadrons vanished in coordinated ambushes. The whisper cannons activated again. Across the Council command decks, voices screamed, the last, pitiful cries of their fellow crews caught in annihilation loops. Veterans who had never known defeat collapsed to the decks, sobbing, clawing at their faces to escape the auditory torment. The Zorith commander shattered under the psychic pressure, crystalline limbs exploding into a fine mist. The Vorex high speaker shrieked, "Hold formation! Hold!" before a Revenant ship sliced his battle group in two, turning the flagship into burning wreckage. The Council, for the first time in galactic history, broke ranks. Admiral Kareth of the Kreth activated his species' most forbidden weapon, the Null Crown, an ancient relic capable of creating a localized singularity to devour entire fleets. His voice boomed through the open channels. "If we cannot win, we will drag you into oblivion with us." The Null Crown charged. The Revenant ships closed in. On Earth, Rohn stood motionless. His aide gasped. "Sir, they're going to detonate the system." Rohn's eyes remained fixed. "No. They're not." He turned to the Lunar Command Center and gave the order. "Fire the Leviathan Lance!" From deep space, the hidden lunar mass drivers activated. A projectile, massing more than any ship ever built, accelerated to near light speed. It crossed the system in microseconds. The Null Crown never fired. The kinetic strike vaporized the Kreth superweapon and Admiral Kareth's fleet in an instant. The shockwave ruptured 3 Council homeworld moons orbiting nearby. Silence. The remaining Council vessels powered down weapons and sent desperate surrender signals. No conditions. No negotiations. Only pleading. Rohn's transmission came once more. "You built your empires on fear. You believed strength came from numbers. From power. From control. You believed we were weak because we were alone." The camera feed showed Revenant ships circling like black sharks, intact, unscathed, invincible. Rohn's voice hardened. "You never understood the only law we live by, never corner a human." The surviving Council admirals wept. They had not just lost a battle, They had witnessed the total collapse of everything they believed indestructible. On Earth, Roan gave the final command. Cease fire. The Revenant Armada froze in space. To the Council, the message was clear. The Armada could have finished them. They chose not to. The ultimate psychological dominance. The Council command was ordered to prepare for Roan's arrival. As the human fleet dispersed, vanishing into dark space once again, the last chilling transmission echoed across every comms relay in the galaxy. We are not coming to conquer. We are not coming to negotiate. We will never warn you again. Any hand raised against Earth will be severed. Any threat will be erased. We are the consequence. The Revenant Armada disappeared like ghosts, leaving only wreckage and legends behind. Across the galaxy, every empire, every warlord, every ruler issued the same decree in terrified unison. Do not provoke the humans. Do not summon the wolves. The doors of the ruined council chamber creaked open. General Elias Roan stepped in alone. His boots echoed against scorched alloy floors. The once grand hall was now a graveyard of pride. Banners lay in tatters. Walls were blackened and twisted from the residual shockwaves of orbital detonations. There were no guards. No advisors. Only the surviving council leaders, hollow-eyed and trembling, their empires in ruins. The Vorax High Speaker, now stripped of armor, struggled to rise as Roan approached. His voice rasped with bitter resignation. You were never meant to win. Roan stared him down without a flicker of emotion. You were never meant to threaten us. The Kreth warlord limped forward, one of his forearms missing, the stump cauterized. Why did you stop? You could have destroyed us all. Roan's voice was cold steel. Because we didn't come for conquest. We came for a lesson. The Eldarii Primarch, her form barely stable under her shifting membranes, whispered. You unleashed extinction, for a lesson? Roan took a slow breath. You taught us we were alone. So we learned to be the worst thing a lonely species can become, self-reliant. The council chamber's central table flickered to life as Roan placed a single data crystal at its center. The file auto-loaded. The screen displayed 2 words in stark white against infinite black. Accords of silence. Roan stepped back. You will sign this. The High Speaker stared at the simple text. What does it say? 1 sentence, Roan replied. From this moment, no empire, species, or council may interfere with, threaten, attack, or restrict humanity or its colonies in any way. The penalty is extinction. The chamber erupted into whispers of fear and disbelief. The Zora's speaker trembled. You expect the galaxy to kneel forever? Roan's glare shut him down instantly. I expect the galaxy to remember. The Kreth warlord bared his fangs. What happens if someone ignores it? Roan's answer was a hammer blow. You just witnessed the answer. Silence stretched heavy and suffocating. The Eldarii tried to muster a semblance of pride. This makes you tyrants. Roan's expression darkened. No. It makes us free. The council members glanced at one another, the enormity of their failure crashing over them. They had mocked humanity for centuries. Manipulated them. Sabotaged their progress. And now they faced a simple truth. Survival meant submission to a species they had once called vermin. The High Speaker's claws scraped weakly against the table. Even the strongest predators grow weak. Time erodes all things. One day, someone will challenge you. Roan nodded slowly. Possibly. But it won't be you. The Kreth warlord roared in frustration. You can't enforce this forever. Roan smiled coldly. You won't live long enough to find out. The Eldarii's form rippled in panic. What of the Armada? Are they coming back? Roan's voice dropped to an almost conspiratorial tone. They were never fully here. Confusion rippled. Roan leaned forward slightly. The Revenant Armada was phase dispersed across dark space. They're still out there, somewhere between real space and nothingness. They move without signals, without orders, without mercy. I don't even know where they are anymore. The Kreth warlord blinked in disbelief. You let your fleet go rogue? Roan straightened. They're not rogue. They're awake. They know their purpose. If anyone violates the Accords, the Armada will arrive. Without warning. Without conversation. Without survivors. The Eldarii shrank further. And you trust them? Roan's smile vanished. They don't care about trust. They care about Earth. The council finally broke. The Zoras sighed in defeat. We have no choice. The High Speaker growled, barely able to lift a pen with shaking claws. Then let history record this day. The day the galaxy bowed to the wolves of Earth. Each delegate signed. Roan took back the crystal. Congratulations. You've just ensured peace, the only kind you ever respected. Peace by threat. He turned toward the exit. The Eldarii called out desperately. General, what happens now? Roan paused. Nothing. The Primarch tilted her head. Nothing? Roan nodded. We go home. We rebuild. We remember. We don't want your planets. We don't want your resources. We just wanted you to leave us alone. He walked to the threshold of the chamber, then stopped for one final message. You made a fatal mistake, Roan said, his voice sharp as a blade. You thought we feared extinction. You thought we would fight to live. You were wrong. We fought because we had already accepted we might die, and we decided to take you with us. The chamber froze. No response came. The last sound before Roan vanished into the corridor was the whispered, terrified murmur of the Zorath. They became what we feared most. Outside, the black shapes of the Revenant Armada slipped silently back into the void, leaving only burning wreckage and the raw legend of a species that had refused to kneel. The message was clear. Do not threaten Earth. The Revenant Armada vanished into dark space. No one knew where. No one dared to search. The galaxy held its collective breath as the wolves of Earth slipped back into the void between stars. Across hundreds of worlds, the broadcasts played on endless loop. General Elias Roan's voice echoed cold and absolute over every channel. This was not conquest. This was not expansion. This was not negotiation. This was the last warning. The galaxy reacted in ways never recorded in its long and arrogant history. Empires that had stood for millennia dissolved overnight. The Kreth homeworld declared unconditional neutrality and withdrew from all outer systems. The Eldarii cloistered themselves in their nebulous strongholds, sealing their borders and refusing to acknowledge outside contact. The Zoras simply disappeared into deep space, vanishing without trace. Whispers spread faster than light. Children of a dozen species cried at night at the mere mention of the human armada. Military academies erased Earth from simulation scenarios. No algorithm could explain what had happened at Morsis Verge. The words appeared like a curse across navigation logs. Do not provoke humans. At the heart of the terror was the unknown. The Revenant Armada had not returned home. They had not paraded their triumph. They had not claimed spoils. They had simply left. And that horrified the galaxy more than annihilation ever could. On Earth, life returned to what it had been before the blockade, but nothing would ever be the same. In the black chamber deep under the Himalayas, Roan stood alone before a silent comms console. No orders were issued. No speeches made. His job was done. His aide entered quietly. Sir? The Council has ratified the Accords of Silence. Every empire. Every species. Roan gave no visible reaction. Good. The aide hesitated. What of the Armada? They never reported back. Roan stared into the star map projection. His voice was distant, almost reflective. They'd become what they needed to be. Unseen. Unreachable. Unstoppable. The aide swallowed nervously. Will they ever return? Roan's expression hardened. If they return, something unspeakable has happened. And if they do, I pity whatever forced their hand. The galaxy existed under the shadow of that thought. Legends grew at light speed. Traders and backwater stations told stories of entire pirate fleets disappearing without trace after foolishly targeting human vessels. A mining colony on the fringe of Eldarii space sent a distress call, by the time help arrived, the invaders were gone, their ships reduced to twisted wreckage with not a single survivor. No signals. No warnings. Just silent judgment. They came to be known by a name whispered in every tongue. The Wolves of Earth. In Kreth war songs, they were called the Silent Pack. In Eldarii records, the Nameless Death. Among the Zoroth, they were the darkness that hunts. Even Vorax elders, once supreme predators, told hatchlings never to speak of them aloud. On Earth, humanity moved on. Rebuilt. Expanded. Colonized. There were no parades. No monuments. There was no need. The message had been burned into the stars themselves. In the decades that followed, scattered incidents tested the accords. A fringe warlord attempted to blockade an outer human colony. His empire vanished in a single night. No explanation was ever provided. A covert alien intelligence agency plotted to infiltrate human genetic data. Their headquarters was found days later, an empty crater spinning silently in orbit. The accords held. They would always hold. In his final public message before disappearing from all records, Roan addressed the Terran Assembly. They thought we were weak because we loved life. They thought we were fragile because we craved peace. They mistook restraint for fear. They pushed us to the brink and discovered the greatest truth of all: no species fights harder than the one with nothing left to lose. The speech became legend. On the anniversary of the Council's surrender, a human child stood at the edge of a new colony world under a violet alien sky. The child stared upward, watching faint shapes barely visible against the starlight, distant shadows that flickered for a moment before fading into black. The child whispered what every human had come to know. We are never alone. No memorials were needed. The Armada itself had become the monument. The warning. The protector. Years later, long after Roan was gone, alien historians debated in hushed tones whether the Revenant Armada even existed anymore. Some insisted it was a temporary project that had vanished with the last war. Others, with haunted eyes, recounted second-hand tales of entire fleets wiped from existence in the silence of deep space. But none were foolish enough to test the theory. The final entry of the Zoroth High Record chronicled the new galactic reality in chilling simplicity. The humans do not occupy. They do not conquer. They do not threaten. They do not speak. They wait. And when called, they hunt. In the void beyond known space, where gravity twisted and stars flickered faintly like dying embers, a single ship glided silently. Oblivion's smile. No crew. No broadcast. Its black surface absorbed all light. Its presence marked only by the frozen wrecks of those who had once dared. The Armada was eternal. The Wolves of Earth had simply gone hunting.